without trying to change anything, without trying to make anything happen. Simply dropping into the breath, into the body. Gently noticing your natural breath. Doing nothing, going nowhere. Letting the body soften. Noticing your spine supporting you, your back supporting you. Giving the mind a break. The mind is always doing too much work, trying to analyze the world, trying to analyze life, trying to understand everything, always trying to get somewhere, completely missing what is here. And here and now includes everything. The sounds, the feelings, emotions, sensations, the breath. And we don't have to do anything to recognize all that. We don't even have to be aware. We are already aware. Awareness is already recognizing all of this. The noticing is happening on its own. All we can do is to stop for a few minutes and pay attention to something more real than mind, more real than thinking. You might be noticing the different parts of the body, maybe heaviness, maybe numbness, maybe tension somewhere. Without trying to change anything, simply notice. Bringing your attention to these areas in the body. Letting yourself rest here. This is really about resting, awake, aware, resting, conscious, resting, softening, dropping in. Maybe you're noticing some kind of silence within you, a quiet presence. Maybe you're noticing some aliveness in the body. The body is always alive. There's a lot of movement happening all the time. There's a lot of energy. Maybe you're noticing that you feel tired. That's okay too. Feel free to slowly open your eyes if you would like to do that. You can stretch a little bit, look around you, noticing other people in the room. Yeah. So welcome to today's talk. It's more like a share because I will take questions as well, so it's more like a back and forth exploration. And yeah, my name is Cenk, spelled with a C. And I've been a psychotherapist for over 10 years, helping people with depression, anxiety, trauma healing, inner child, self-compassion, relationships, emotions, things like that. And I've been a meditator for more than 20 years. So my healing journey has been deepening a lot. And as that deepens, a very different way of living started in my life, a complete paradigm shift. And I had no idea, I couldn't have ever predicted that. And it's just a very different way of being, and it's a very different way of living, and it's so radically different. And since I started that becoming alive within me, I really love talking about sacred intimacy. Before that, if I tried to talk about it, I couldn't, because that paradigm shift had not happened yet. So, the new sacred intimacy, which is the name of this talk, yeah? So, and what I mean by sacred intimacy is sacred intimacy in romantic relationship. And I can further clarify that, saying that I always talk about and only talk about monogamy. Sacred monogamy. So everything you'll hear from me will be about sacred monogamy, a romantic relationship for two people. If you have specific questions about open relationships, polyamory, then you can ask me. I'll answer as much as I can. But it's just not something that I'm so interested in. That's why I talk about sacred monogamy. I find it to be a much deeper relational container than polyamory can be. So my healing has been deepening over the years, and deeper, 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 deeper. And then about 6 months ago, I started experiencing something that I could only call sacred. And I started experiencing this sacred intimacy within myself. Suddenly my relationship to my own emotions was not the same. My relationship with my own thoughts was not the same. It was so radically different that I started to talk about it. And this deepening into the unknown, into life's own miracle, let's say, this paradigm shift is deepening every day. And every day is very new and very fresh. So then from this perspective, when I look into the world, I see a lot of confusion. I've always seen that, but now it's clearer. And we are, as a society, as a culture, as a race, human race, we are very confused about romantic relationships. That's very clear to me. Why are we confused? Because we were never taught, we were never shown what healthy relating can be. No one has ever shown that to us. Or everything we learned for decades and many, many hours of studying never had anything to do with the natural functioning of humans. We've never learned anything about ourselves. Never, anywhere. So the more that I learn, the more that I heal, the more that I heal, the more that this new paradigm started to function inside of me. And I started talking about conscious relationships. And I started applying this new energy into my life, into my relationships. And I keep having moments with people in my life, even family members, like everybody, that I could have never imagined possible. There is a kind of intimacy. It's as if, how can I say? It's as if it's completely new as an experience. And this intimacy is also inside, and it's also outside with other people. It can even be an intimacy with life itself. Like walking on the street, it can feel like I'm being intimate with the street. When I'm using my phone, it can feel the same intimacy here. So it's not even about between human beings. It's much more than that. It's like a sense of closeness and oneness, we could even say, with life itself in any way that it can be, right? This, that, human beings. So a huge part of this shift has been what I can call wholeness. I started seeing in the past year that I am whole, that there's never been anything wrong with me. How did I see that? Because I've been looking at my own emotions and thoughts and traumas, all the things, for almost 10 years. So that gained momentum. My healing gained such a momentum that I started seeing that in a human being, within my own experience, having seen so much, that there was no error anywhere. There's no error in my anger, no error in my fear, no error or fault or anything wrong. There's nothing, all the emotions are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. All the thoughts, they're just thoughts. Emotions are emotions, thoughts are thoughts. Feelings are feelings, the body is the body. And everything just becomes very simple. If I'm really angry my anger wants to say something to someone, I work on my anger and then in a healthy way I express it. If I feel afraid, maybe I journal. I go to the gym. Meditatively, maybe I stay with my fear. And then an hour, 2 hours later, it dissolves into excitement, into life energy. So clearly there's nothing wrong with fear. Sometimes when I feel ashamed, maybe my shame is saying that I hurt somebody and I feel embarrassed, I regret, I have to apologize. Okay, I take my shame, I use its function to move me into saying sorry to someone, and then the shame disappears. When the guilt comes, like self-blame, I look at it, I see its conditioning from the past, I see all the wounds that is connected with from the past. I see that, I work on it, it dissolves, it leaves. So layers and layers of experience, they come and they go when we know how to work with them. And learning how to work with them, this to me is healing. Because what is healing is a big question that comes. And healing is nearly impossible to fully define. And this is a huge part of healing. How can I work with the different emotions that come? Huge skill. Nobody has ever taught us this. Right? We should have learned this in school. We didn't. Right? Yeah. We should be learning all of this in society. So there's nothing new about anything I'm saying. There's nothing extraordinary about anything I'm saying. There's nothing special. Actually, that's really the core. The core of this message, if there's any message at all, is that life becomes very simple. And that simplicity in it has a quality of love and presence and stillness and joy. That very simple living, moment to moment. Okay, this comes, I work on it. I feel like saying something, I go ahead and do that. So a relationship maybe is not working, maybe it's time to say goodbye. And life continues to happen one moment after another. But there is no sense of that there is a problem somewhere. Neither inside nor outside. It's just life happening in a very simple way without any drama. Because drama is suffering. Suffering is drama. Emotions still continue. Pain still continues. If someone disrespects me, let's say a close friend of mine shames me, swears at me, it still hurts. Right? We are still hurt able, pain able. That doesn't change. It's not like we become Superman or whatever, fantasy. It's not like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that we become so simple. Then I can say, oh, you know what? When you said to me yesterday, I felt really hurt. Again, another very simple conversation. All of this is possible. And if my friend continues to hurt me and never changes his behavior, I might one day not have him in my life. That too is seen as something very simple and very natural. We do the things that we want to do. There's no sense of obligation, no sense of I have to or I should. Either I want to do something or I don't want to do something. So life has become very simple. And in that simplicity, there's a lack of drama. And when there's no drama internally or outside, there's a lot of joy. And so when I bring this awareness that came to me out of nowhere through my own healing, and I didn't know that I wasn't looking for this. I was just looking for my healing, that's all. I was looking for less suffering. I was not looking for suddenly this incredible other way of being in the world. I just didn't want to suffer. So when I apply this, or when I bring this awareness into relationship, especially romantic relationship, it's where most people tend to struggle in our romantic relationships. Because a romantic relationship includes everything that we are, especially as it gets deeper. Nothing in us can be excluded, especially as the commitment gets deeper between two people. So everything in us that is not looked at, undigested or frozen or numb, will be very obvious in a healthy, deepening, committed romantic relationship. And it will be impossible not to look at it. Because our partner will want more love, more respect, more presence. Of course, they should want that. We should want these things from each other. Because then we are inviting each other to a deeper life through wanting more love, more respect, more presence. So there's nothing wrong with wanting more. When both people want more from each other, then it becomes very clear that they have a lot of healing to do. Because the distance in between them is all the unresolved wounding. And when people want to become more intimate, that unresolved wounding needs to get resolved for that to happen. There's no other way. So when we talk about conscious monogamy happens through healing. And healing can also happen through conscious monogamy. Because in this relationship, both people are invited into deepening their life experience by getting in touch with themselves. So far, any comments or questions about what I've shared?
We often say that it's better to do the work and try to heal yourself before you enter a relationship. So how could it be that in a relationship,
Yeah.
the two partners heal each other or themselves within the relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something to learn how to do that. Because, well, I mean, one thing we know for sure is that nobody heals completely. There's no such thing as this kind of fantasy land, I'm done. That doesn't exist, right? So that means healing is a continuous process. Yeah? Healing, growth, maturing, ripening. This is a continuous process. So that means we can never wait until it's over to get into a relationship, right? So that means my romantic relationship will be a part of my healing because I'm healing all my life. I'm maturing my entire life. So romantic relationships will always be a part of that process. Then the learning is very important, I think, for the couple. So let's say me with my partner, I need to learn how to make space in my heart for her wounding, because that's love, right? If this is not love, what is it? It's easy to love someone in their best moments. So she needs to be learning to be with my wounding, because I'm in the relationship and my wounding comes with me. So me and my wounding, we are both together in this relationship. Me and the wounded child in me. She has a wounded child in her. So we are talking about four. Me as the adult, my wounding. Her as the adult, her wounding. So I need to make space in my heart for all four. And she needs to make space for all four. That means the love is very strong and deep. And there is an understanding of depth and healing as well. And there is also compassion. But compassion doesn't mean whatever I do is okay. That's blind compassion. That's like, in some traditions, it's actually called stupid compassion, because we are not really intelligent in those moments. So intelligent compassion means I hold her responsible from her actions, from her words. As a mature adult, I expect maturity. She does the same. And then this allows us to look at everything that is immature within us. I have some of that, she has some of that. So, but we can look at all that without shaming ourselves or each other or making anything wrong. But also having a clear sense of what's healthy, what's unhealthy. What's an okay behavior, what's not an okay behavior. Right? Yeah? Anything else you want to? Are you done?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
For me, like I'm still discovering it, like how to, heal together in a relationship. And
Yeah.
I know myself this idea, and partly I follow it, partly I'm requesting it, partly I'm being in a relationship with it. Like in a way of, like you say, when are you healed? And for me, what turned out to be the most helpful tool in that moment for both sides is to realize deep inside and remembering, both of us, that when we are really angry, when we are really like whatever that intense feeling is named,
Yeah.
that's not the fault of the others.
Mm-hmm.
It's something deep in here. And sometimes when I was like really like,
Yeah.
this I was just telling like, I'm so angry right now. I don't know where it's from, but I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna dance and jump.
Yeah. And to say that, I think, is a very good thing, because then you're being transparent, right? You're being open. Yeah. That's a moment of connection with yourself and with your partner at the same time. Yeah.
And I felt on both sides it was like so freeing.
Yeah. And sometimes what your partner can do is you can both take a breath together. So this doesn't mean you have to necessarily leave. It can stay, you two can stay connected, right? Maybe this is the next step to practice. Just because you're angry or being reactive, you don't have to just leave and isolate or whatever. You can stay there, together breathe into it, and maybe as you have more data about what you're feeling, you can continue expressing yourself. Yeah, because maybe underneath the anger there's sadness or something else is going on, or maybe you felt afraid for whatever reason, right? Then how can I say it? The communication can continue. And without making the anger wrong, There's nothing wrong with anger, right? Yeah. There's healthy and unhealthy things we do with our anger. So we look at the behavior. There's healthy and unhealthy behaviors. But there's nothing wrong with any emotion, any thought, any feeling, any sensation. How can there be? It's life.
Yeah, especially because like this exact moment didn't end with like I was going away. It was just like in this moment, I feel like where I feel like also this realize that you're not capable in this moment to talk properly. That's
Yeah.
so much energy.
Yes.
Just find conversation, which is like
Yeah.
helpful. And when I came back, I was like, what were we fighting about?
I do a practice called adult temper tantrum, or you can call it sacred movement, whatever. When I feel really frustrated or angry, what I might do is I go into my living room or bedroom, and I might scream into the pillow or yell into the pillow and let the body move in every way that it wants to move without harming or hurting myself or anything, right? And say everything that comes. So we are letting, it's just like children throwing a temper tantrum because we are born knowing what to do with emotional energy. And then social conditioning makes us forget. But as children, we already know. We are born knowing what to do with emotions. When a baby throws a temper tantrum, a child, there's an intelligence there. They're letting the body move in the way that it wants to move. That's why the child goes crazy for 2 minutes, comes back smiling as if nothing happened. As if nothing happened. They're already over it. But if the parents don't interrupt the process, the child is not able to complete the reaction or response. So this is a practice where adult temper tantrum is, as adults, we can get in touch with the same body intelligence, body wisdom, and let the body move. Let the creature of the body make sounds, maybe punch, maybe bite. Again, not hurting ourselves, not hurting anybody else, but letting the body have its course. Yeah? Yeah.
Just one other thing that was for me, like in this case, there was other fights we had with my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Where both sides, have this moment of maybe a kind of explosion, but not pushing it at the other.
Yeah.
And we let both sides that it's in us, and that if we somehow feeling, oh wow, I'm so angry, feeling it's here,
Yeah.
it's not there, it's not you. And this
Yes.
is for me, like, so I feel like with this, even if we are not far away from healed, if we have really big trauma, if we have really big like maybe anger issues and so on.
Sure.
From my experience, I feel like if both sides are ready for it, if both sides are feeling it, I feel a relationship with this cannot be very healthy.
Yeah. And the thing you mentioned, I think is very healthy. You see, like, it's about me, it's something inside of me and not their fault, like that. So that's very healthy up to a point. We don't want to take it to an extreme, right? Because let me give you an example of, let's say I walk into my apartment one day and I see my girlfriend, wife, whoever, cheating on me with someone, right? I catch them. And then the anger comes, right? And maybe I'm not completely losing it, but I feel angry. Or 5 days later, I'm still feeling angry. Our emotions, they have their own intelligence. That anger has a message. That anger is telling me that my boundary has been abused, right? And my anger, healthy, and if I use it in a healthy way, might allow me to confront my partner and question what happened, and maybe all the way to leaving her. My anger is there for a reason, right? So the situation creates also the emotion. I'm not talking about reactivity. I'm talking about healthy, fluid emotion of anger, right? Our emotions in their healthy functioning, they are our social navigation system. They have an intelligence. And the intelligence of anger is boundaries. If my healthy boundaries are violated, healthy anger comes so that I can change something. Either I need to speak up, or I might say, you're out of my life. And that healthy anger will allow me to do that, to say that. Yeah?
I mostly meant like, I totally agree. I mostly meant like this anger which is coming from unreleased trauma and so on.
Yeah.
That I feel like, okay, which amount of of like emotion. It's nothing to do with the situation.
Okay.
And to be able to deal with the situation is a kind of calmness.
Sure.
And also emotions involved, but like of where me or we can be on a level where it's not like throwing things at each other. Like
Yes, of course.
Canalization, and then
Yeah.
feeling like, okay, what does it need? And if it's like it's building up or whatever, then it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to act from a reactive place. Yes. Yeah. And at the same time, non-reactive anger is a thing. It exists. Healthy functioning of anger. Yeah. Like it allows us to underline something that's important. Like in very healthy activism, that's healthy anger. So people say there's so much anger in the world, there's so much violence. Yes, there's so much violence, violent anger. But there's not enough healthy anger. There's not at all enough healthy anger in the world. That's why everything is still quite negative, socially speaking, collectively speaking. Because we haven't been able to collectively tap into our healthy anger. And healthy anger is vulnerable. Healthy anger says, this really matters. Hey, look, let's look at this. This really matters. Healthy anger says, look, this really hurts. And I want to talk about it. That's what it says. It's really activist. Yeah? It wants to advocate for something that really matters. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when you talk about healthy anger, there's a lot of people on the path and they're like, okay, anger should be, in a way, how I perceive this, they suppress.
They suppress it?
Yeah, it is suppressed.
Yeah. And sometimes they even use spiritual practice to run away and suppress their anger, including meditation. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if two person is meeting in that place where one person is having that kind of vulnerability of healthy anger, and the other is calling it spiritual by, okay, I'm good with anger or non-reactive.
Like, let's be calm.
Yeah.
Too much emphasis on being calm.
Yeah,
Such bullshit.
It's like there's no this weaving of the couple together.
Yeah, totally. Because the other partner, by shutting down their own anger, they end up shutting down also their vulnerability. If they could only let their anger be felt more, if they could own their anger, right? Anger is a vulnerable emotion. We don't get angry about things that don't matter. We don't stay angry about things that don't matter. If I'm angry, that means what's happening matters to me, right? And if I suppress and try to delete my anger, I'm actually suppressing and deleting my heart and my very humanity and my vulnerability, what makes me human. Yeah.
And I think maybe oftentimes, maybe more women to men, not to like put things into a container, that the women are more like vulnerable and trying to talk to the men, and then the man is like, hey, let's be cool and calm.
Yeah.
How did that sacred intimacy in your contacts could bring into that piece of...
Yeah, I mean, a huge learning is to see that every emotion is okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with emotions. We don't have to be afraid of our own emotions. That's a huge learning. Yeah. It's okay to feel. And especially the men need to understand that message. It's okay to feel. We are not robots. We can feel. We are not only soldiers to be sent to our deaths in the fields. We can feel. We are human, right? We have the right to our own fucking emotions. Yeah. Right, yeah. And also, maybe something women need to understand, that women also have the right to their own healthy anger. Right? Because women usually are afraid of their own power. That's changing slowly, but to actually really embody healthy anger is a big deal. And I think in some ways it might be more difficult for women, because an angry woman is really quickly labeled a bitch, right? And she should shut up and not make a fuss.
Healthy enough to guide the partner into that space.
How to guide?
And I mean, if the woman herself is healthy enough in that anger to guide the partner into that space.
To guide the partner?
Into that healthy anger space. So if she herself.
Well, if you want to say something to your partner, you can say, hey, it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel your emotions. Yeah. Another thing to do is to book a couple session. So that you also have an ally who is a professional who can talk about this, right? Or you read a book together on emotions. Or you watch a video about healthy relationships and things like that. There are so many ways to introduce. Yeah. And if the partner is open, any way to introduce will still have an impact. If they are not open, no matter what you do, nothing's going to change. Makes sense? So if they are open or not, that will define everything. Yeah? You don't have to try to find the perfect way to do something. If they're open, they'll get the message. If they're not, nothing you do will help. Yeah. And sometimes people are not open. Yeah. Sometimes they are. Yeah. Any thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I think what's important to keep in mind always with that work, what you just said, human's nervous system sometimes subconsciously can hold them back. And speaking about emotions, it's not expressing the emotions.
Sure.
So in my views, working with people, especially with emotions, it's not as simple as let's beat the pillow, because sometimes a human being is so scared that he will not.
Sure.
He knows in theory all of that what you just mentioned, but nervous system doesn't feel safe.
So we go step by step.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
stating the fact. Yes.
Sure. Do you have a question?
Yes. What's your favorite book on emotions?
The book called Emotional Intimacy by Robert Masters. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, I agree that it's important to express your emotion and feel your emotions in a healthy way without hurting each other. Or,
Sure.
But also emotions like anxiety from trauma.
Yeah.
Do you deal with that in a positive way?
We deal with it in a healing container. A healing container can be a group, can be a retreat, can be one-on-one sessions once a week with a therapist. That's where you gain the most skills. And then at one point, you don't need that anymore. You can continue, right? Because you're gaining the tools. And then at one point, you have daily practices that you're doing. Yeah. But creating containers of healing, very important. Huge. Yeah. And one of the best containers is with a therapist who really is doing their work as well, right? Yeah. And then the sacred intimacy, right? The sacred monogamy also becomes another container. But we don't want that to be the only container we have for healing, because we are not expecting each other to be each other's therapists. It's not about that. Yeah? Yeah.
You mentioned growth before, that was interesting. Ripening is a continuing life thing.
Yes, ripening.
Relationship with two entities, people, and you're always going to grow in different directions and paces. How do you approach that?
You always what?
You'll always be growing at a different rate, but sometimes in a different direction.
Well, maybe, yeah. Or you grow together. Yeah? Sometimes people grow together too. Especially they're really on the same page about what healing is, or what healthy spirituality is, grounded spirituality. Right? I think for people to create this container in a way that is really functional, they have to be on the same page about a lot of things. That's why this relationship is very rare. So they need to have a lot of awareness about who they are, what works for them. They need to have been doing their work for a while to then find someone who is more or less on the same page about very important things. Let's say lifestyle, worldview, what they think spirituality is and isn't, what is healing, what isn't healing, right? What kind of their own relationship with sexual energy, for example. So we want more or less them to be on the same page already as they come together, so that there's a mutual meeting of each other, right? If there's too much gap or whatever different, it might not work in the long term. Yeah.
And how do you approach that? Because like people start on the same page, but like they grow and change, right? That's the nature of.
Yeah. Well, what vision do they have for their lives together? Right? That's an interesting question. Like, we can actually have a conversation about what is our vision for our relationship going forward. This is a conversation not many people have, but I think it's so important. Like, how do I see us together in 5 years? How do I see in 10 years and 20 years? Not that we can know that, of course, but in this moment, what is my feeling about it? What is my vision about it, right? A conversation like this can be incredibly fruitful. Also difficult, of course, but I think very needed. Another conversation that's really needed that we never have is the deal breakers. Usually people don't share their deal breakers with each other. And then people wait until some big thing happens, a big problem happens in the relationship. But I think deal breakers can be a good conversation too. Like, what is a no-go for you? You know, if I do this, like, where is the line? Yeah. And to not assume somehow that they already know, or we already know where their lines might be. Yeah.
I just have the impulses, like sometimes there was something where I didn't find the answer to my own soul. It's like when I just reflect my own last relationships, or like relationships that I felt, I've seen in others, that it's not often like a plan of, okay, we create something together, or we grow together. I feel like it's, I don't want to speak to everybody about that, it's fitting what I had and what to ask about here. It's like a lot of focused on like having somebody.
Having what?
Having somebody to hold each other.
Yeah.
Like, and focusing on, yeah, I don't know how to explain what I mean. In a way of, yeah, like being dependent somehow.
Being dependent.
Being dependent. The dependency is sending much bigger over like, okay, what do we really want together? How can we grow together? And yeah, when I'm honest with myself, it's like, yeah, I feel like my own relationships, it was like a lot about, okay, how we can somehow deal with our problems, but not how, where could we go, you know? What I mean in a different perspective.
Where could we go instead of what?
Yeah, the focus on like how can we solve our problems, but not like in a way of, okay, what is the possibility for us as a couple? Where do we want to go together?
Yeah. What kind of relationship do we want to create? That's another one. You know, when I'm dating, I'm not looking for a particular person. I'm looking for a particular connection. Yeah. Yeah. So when we know what kind of connection we want, I think everything becomes more clear. Because then we don't have like a huge list of impossible things about the person, how they should be. But we have a sense of how we want to be connecting with somebody and how we want to be treated in that connection. I think that really matters. So we are more focusing on not who they have to be, but how we want to be treated and how we want to treat the other person. Yeah, on behavior and the quality of connection. I think that's really profound. Yeah, and then with that can come also, what is your vision for a romantic relationship? What kind of romantic relationship do you want to have? What kind of romantic relationship would you like to build with me? Right, these are all very interesting conversations. Yeah, and part of it could be even reading a few relationship books together to see what's on the menu. Because usually we don't even know what's on the menu. That's why I love talking about sacred monogamy, because most people don't know sacred monogamy even is possible. People usually talk about codependency. There's a lot of awareness of that, which is great, because we need to understand codependency to go beyond it. There's a lot of books nowadays about polyamory, open this, open that. That's also wonderful. But not many people are talking about sacred monogamy.
How do you define it?
Sacred monogamy? It's so hard to define, yeah. it's beyond codependency, that's for sure. And so codependency, right? We lose ourselves in the relationship. Codependency means I'm not functioning from the adult that I am. Codependency means it's the child in me clinging to my partner. That's what codependency means. Yeah? Unhealthy dependency, addictive connection. The child in me, so wounded and confused and lost, is trying to hold on to something for his dear life. That's codependency. So automatically, sacred monogamy is not that. So sacred monogamy is not about the child in me trying to be in love. Sacred monogamy is about love itself. As a spiritual reality, as an existential force, and as something that happens when the heart begins to open at an embodied level from very deep healing. So when love becomes more powerful in our lives than our fear, than the fearful child that we have, so desperate for something, always so desperate. When our love, capacity for our love becomes larger than our fearfulness, sacred monogamy becomes possible. Does that make sense? So we are, as a human being, we become more love and peace and joy driven than we are fear driven. When that begins to shift in us, sacred monogamy becomes possible. For as long as that doesn't shift, sacred monogamy is not possible. Because we are fear driven. We are too afraid of getting rejected, getting abandoned. We are too afraid of deeper intimacy. We are too afraid of our own emotions. We are too afraid of saying, no, I don't want to do that. We are simply living through a lot of fear. We are maybe too afraid of being lonely. That's why we stay in relationships that don't work. Yeah. And as commitment and intimacy deepens, the fears come to the surface. And then we can look at them. Like, fear is a part of our lives. We're not looking for a place where there's no fear at all, but we want to get to know our fears, become really intimate with them, so that they don't have such a grip on us, because fear is like, it's really gripping us by the throat. So, but this grip begins to soften, and sometimes completely let go. Yeah? And shame does the same thing, unworthiness. Just like here, it's squeezing us, unworthiness. The sense of I don't deserve, the sense of I'm not enough, I'm a failure. I call it toxic shame. Toxic shame, unworthiness. Yeah? So as we work on these things and these things begin to dissolve, then sacred intimacy becomes possible. First of all, inside. Even if I'm single, that's how I started feeling it when I was single. It started to assert itself. It started to become a reality in my life. I started feeling something. There's some completely new energy was opening up in me. Because it's really about our own internal world. And then we get to share it with the other person. But it's not primarily about them. It's primarily about a new reality that's starting within us. And that then we can share it with the other person. Yeah? So a sense of sacredness can start in life. It's as if every moment is like so miraculous or something. But by being very ordinary, by being very simple. When we are no longer looking for the future to satisfy us, we find what we're looking for here, where it's always been. Right? So it's a spiritual shift inside. It's an existential shift. It's an emotional shift. It's a shift in our conditioning. We are living in a deconditioned way more and more. It's a shift in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our body, literally in our tissues, everything. Yeah. It's a shift in the way that we show up in life. Less reactive, less confused, more simple. Less afraid. Yeah. And somehow much more responsible. Well, we become more responsible. like response able, right? We can respond much more smoothly and easily. Like everything flows. It's as if you're continuously dancing with life. Nothing gets frozen for too long. Everything is fluid and flowing. Yeah? Someone said, a few weeks ago, a client of mine on a one-on-one session, she said, Jane, you know what I noticed about my romantic relationship? There's always a limit. She was saying she's this 7-year-old woman, has been with her husband for more than I've been alive, I think. And she is saying, there's always a limit in our relationship. And then the next day I had this talk 2 weeks ago. And then I started with, hey guys, I think I have another definition for sacred monogamy. It's a relationship where there's no limit. It's a relationship where there's no limit to how much I can trust my partner. There's no limit to how deep we can go. There's no limit to how safe we can feel. Because it's limitless. It's an exploration in consciousness. We can discover together how much we can trust, how much we can feel safe, how deep our love can be, or how close we can get to each other. So it's a relationship with no limit. So it's open. It's a discovery. It's an exploration. Very innocent exploration. Yeah. Because in unhealthy relationships, there's always a feeling of limit. I know if I share this with my partner, she's not going to want to be with me. We always know we can only go so deep. And usually we stay at there, and then the relationship begins to lose its life force. We begin to get complacent, the relationship becomes flat, we feel numb, and usually these either people separate, or they still together, but it cannot be called a relationship easily, right? They're not really relating so much. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not so easy to define sacred monogamy. Yeah. So in codependency, we lose ourselves, right? We try to become one. We try to avoid ourselves, and we try to fuse and get lost in the other person. And they're doing the same thing. Or we get lost in the relationship. We sacrifice ourselves and our hobbies, whatever. Self-sacrifice, so that I can keep my partner. So that's codependency. But there is also something like the opposite of that I call modern love. So in codependency, I lost my sense of self. She lost her sense of self. We became the soup. Very confusing soup. And in modern love, I keep my sense of self. She keeps her sense of self. But we are so fixated on our autonomy, on our space, on our hobbies or whatever, that there is too much space between us. That's modern love. It's all about my space and what I want and my hobbies and whatever. And then my partner's doing the same. Yes, now we have more autonomy. Yes, now we are not sacrificing anything. But at the same time, we have too much of a distance between us. We are too far away from each other. And we are not vulnerable enough to create sacred monogamy. Usually this happens because we are afraid of getting hurt again. We are afraid of this turning into codependency. That's why we stay too further removed from each other. See, I call that modern love. It's a fear-based reaction to a previous time when we got really hurt. So codependency is fear-based. Modern love is also fear-based. Because otherwise, why would we have so much distance between us? We are not letting ourselves be vulnerable enough to deepen the relationship. So in sacred monogamy, we are going beyond fear. Fear of losing myself and fear of losing the relationship. So that can allow us to get very close to our partner, but in all the healthy ways, without losing our autonomy. So in sacred monogamy, here's the exploration. Without losing my healthy sense of self, how much close can I get to you? Imagine two people are experimenting with this. Without losing my healthy autonomy, my healthy sense of self, I wonder how intimate we can become. Emotionally, sexually, spiritually, in all the ways. Yeah? Because it's really about intimacy, wanting to feel close with each other. But we don't want to fuse. That would be codependency. We don't want to lose ourselves in it. We want to stay grounded, healthy, sovereign, autonomous. And then, this can be called interdependence. We become interdependent. Not codependent, not independent, like I don't need anybody, like this kind of attitude. I don't need anybody. That's also fear-based. But we become interdependent, supporting each other, loving each other mutually. Yeah. Any thoughts, any questions so far?
Yeah, I mean, also we say sometimes, especially in sexuality and intimacy, physical intimacy, that I don't know if I can say this way, but that the ultimate goal is to kind of melt into each other.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's codependency. That's what society knows. And look where we are, right? Yeah. The melting into each other, it's like another fantasy. There's nothing healthy about that. Yeah. Because why would I want to get rid of my sense of self? Right? Why would I want to get rid of my healthy boundaries or my healthy sense of self? Like healthy sense of me and I am here and awake and I am present. And I am Cenk and you are you. We are each unique, differentiated, yeah?
I was going to say that like melting into each other and also into maybe that tantric spirituality view, like melting into the oneness. And kind of,
Yeah, there's so much emphasis in melting, right? That's the place I'm trying to challenge, right? Because even in tantric spirituality or sexual, whatever, there's so much unhealthy stuff. It's all about trying to get away from pain, right? All about that. A lot of it, yeah. And what a way to do that other than sex. Like sex being a source of incredible pleasure. Of course we're going to go into sex to get rid of our suffering, but it never works. So there's a lot of toxic teachings around this. I'm not saying that what you're talking about is that, but I'm giving you a big general understanding, yeah. So we got to be very careful, right? So through doing this practice, what am I trying to achieve and why? Am I trying to ignore something? Am I trying to run away from something? And we got to be very honest with ourselves. Even in the most amazing communities, good teachers, or I don't know, charismatic gurus, the teaching always has a shadow. Yeah? The teaching always has a place where unhealthy patterns continue. Right? And even the advocation of that, they advocate. Yeah. So, no avoidance would be my mantra. We don't want to avoid anything internal. Yeah? Because then we can heal. And then whatever we feel through sex, we'll be feeling that all the time. Because life itself is orgasmic. Life itself is ecstatic. And to wake up to that is more fulfilling than anything else. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. And that's the place I'm interested in. How can I wake up to the ecstatic nature of life itself instead of trying to create it by certain experience? That's my perspective, yeah. We can call it enlightenment if you want.